Gunnar Thompson with Oates Specialties, and today we're going to talk about maintaining arm health during the season. So most of you have already started your season. Some of you may even be 2-3 tournaments in, maybe even a few games. So you may be thinking, hey, my arm's kind of barking at me. Hey, it's already starting to get sore. What can I do? Well, here's a few things that I did, a few of these as a player, but also a few that I've learned from coaching experience and also just my knowledge of the body that I encourage you to maybe look into and explore for yourself. The first thing is journal every day, including practices. This seems like something really simple, but it's probably overlooked the most. All you have to do is before every game, every practice, just either mentally or put it in your phone or put it in a notebook. Just write down how your arm feels and how your body feels that day. You could put it on a scale of 0 or 1 to 10, or you could just do 1 to 5, or you could just say good, bad, so-so. Just something to give you a track record of how your body and your arm feels. For coaches, this is incredibly valuable and something they should have all their players doing. Before every game and every practice, just simply write down how your arm feels and how your body feels. Why is that important? So you can see the track record and you may be able to start to see a decline somewhere. So if you have 3 or 4 days where your arm is feeling so-so, and then one day you're like, man, my arm feels like crap. Okay, hold on. Maybe it's time for a rest. Maybe it's time to have a couple of recovery days back to back instead of pushing it. Maybe it's time to push your start back just a little bit. Something like that gives you a notice like, hey, something's up. Next thing is monitoring command, velo, and stuff. All right, stuff, we're talking about our secondary, we're talking about our hammer, we're talking about our changeup, even the wicked two-seam, that sort of thing. So obviously, if you start to see your command suffer, there's a good chance that maybe there's something going on mechanically, but there could also be the fact that either your body, arm, mental fatigue, something like that. And again, it's not something that one game you had a terrible outing, your command was off, and you think you have something wrong with you. That's not the case. I'm just saying that if you look at it and maybe your journal reflects that your arm felt so-so or like crap that day, and then also your command suffered, well, now we have something that correlates, okay? We have something to look at and be like, okay, there's something going on. Same thing with velo. If your velo's down a couple of games in a row, even if it's like a shortstop or third baseman firing across to first base, if the velo velocity isn't there, if you're not really getting anything on your throws, that could be a sign as well. And then the last thing that people don't really think about is secondary stuff. Sometimes for me, like whenever I was really fatigued, my secondary stuff actually was affected more than anything. I couldn't quite get that hammer break. I couldn't quite get that change to fade. And then I couldn't get the two-seam to run like I really, really wanted it to. So next, look, I'm going to tell you, monitor sleep, nutrition, and hydration. All right, everybody kind of just shrugs these off. And if you want it bad enough, this is your bread and butter right here. If you can sleep better during the season and you have better nutrition, that doesn't mean follow a strict diet. That just means to make sure that you're getting the carbs that you need, the fats, and the proteins. Making sure your electrolytes are there. And then obviously hydration. All right, everyone can drink water. So if you put these 3 things and implement those 3 things, I guarantee you that they will help you. Okay? Like I said, it's the most overlooked aspect of everyone's game, and it's the thing that can help them the absolute most. There's no question about it. Next, we're going into arm care and post-game recovery. So, for whatever reason, a lot of times, the fall season, maybe fall practices come, you have an arm care routine, you have your post-throwing routine, even then practices, right before game starts, you always have that. But then for whatever reason during games, it seems like kids either are rushed or they make themselves kind of feel rushed and they eliminate some things from their arm care routine. Well, I would like to say that for me, I always tried to do the same arm care routine through the season. Now, knowing a little bit more than what I know back then, I would like to see a few different variations of arm care, just so that I wouldn't get bored, and it would kind of keep it interesting. But for me, I needed to do the same arm care routine, practice, games, whatever. And I just don't like seeing, unless you're rushed, okay? Unless you got off the bus and you got 5 minutes till game time, if you have the time, make the time to get your arm care in. Post-game recovery, a lot of people ask, what should I be doing, And of course, I think now we've kind of all gotten away from the running poles or the long distance after games. But I think it's really important that what you did before you threw might also be a really good option for you to do afterwards, just maybe at a lower volume. So either lighten the intensity or lighten the number of activities that you actually do. Last is going to be, and I say last, there's 2 more down here, but we'll get to that. Total body care. I think this one's often overlooked too. We think about the arm, we think about the shoulder, but what about the rest of the body? Okay, the rest of the body feeds the arm. Okay, we work from the ground up. That's how the kinetic chain works. So make sure, if you foam roll, make sure you're getting your mobility work in season that you did out of season. Make sure you're taking care of your body, whether that be Epsom salt baths, warm baths, cold, warm contrast, whatever you normally do, okay? A lot of times I don't encourage kids, myself, to start something brand new during the season. So a lot of this would be stuff that you've already really kind of implemented in the off season, and you're just continuing with that. With a few modern modifications, journaling and monitoring the command and Velo and stuff like that. That stuff is, really, really important during season. Out of season, you can kind of be a little bit more lenient with that. Here's the last 2 things down here. So you notice I didn't mention number of pitches or workload. Now, we're going to go ahead and link down in the description 2 articles, one written by Randy Sullivan and one written by Ron Wolforth, and they describe this in great detail, so I'm not going to go in great detail here. But basically, it's not the total number of pitches that really matter. It's really number of pitches per innings, maybe stressful pitches per inning, something like that that's more measurable than just total, okay? A great analogy that I've always heard is you take someone who threw 100 pitches in 6 innings, and then you take someone that threw 100 pitches in 3 innings. Well, which one was more stressful? Well, they both had the same total number of pitches. So again, the number of pitches, isn't really a great indicator. Workload, again, it goes back a little bit to the number of pitches that a lot of people think, but Ron Wolforth does a great job of explaining how, during the season and out of the season, how you should really kind of modify the workload each day to have light, medium, and heavy days so that your body is able to recover from the last heavy day and so that it's actually able to push when you really need to have a heavy day. So this is just a few things that I think is important and that might be beneficial to you. Check it out, see what works for you. Obviously, I'm not your coach, so, maybe talk some of this over with your coach, but this is maintaining arm health during the season.